speaking of serious danger, is if you're a politician, especially on the right, this is a thing that happens when people say, "Look, oh, go set up your own party if you want to go and make a change of things." Well, something that's happened recently. This was 4 at the time, but apparently now it's gone up to 6, and maybe even higher by the time this episode comes out. It's been an alarming trend documented here in the Hungarian Conservative of AfD candidates dying expectedly ahead of local elections, leading many to speculate that now, because the right wing is gaining a lot of traction, whether it be the AfD, whether it be Homeland or other parties on the right, Advance UK, whatever it may be, they're now seemingly just trying to, or successfully in many instances now, offing political candidates to stop them from running. So obviously, if you don't have a political candidate that can run, you can't vote for them, right? And you basically secure that vote then. So that's basically what happened at the local elections here in Wales one time when I wanted to. No, it was at the last general election. Sorry, I was very, very heavily Reform UK at that point. And begrudgingly, looking at the way that Wales and the political options that we have, I'd probably say begrudgingly that they may be the best. I'm interested. As I said, I've reached out to them before to try and talk to one of their representatives, but nobody wanted to talk to me. With Gwlad, I'm interested to see what maybe they have to offer, right? Especially for those seeking independence and independent Wales or whatever. But not in the way that Plaid Cymru, which again they want to try and promote a nationalist sentiment, but under the they want to promote a globalist sentiment under the guise of nationalism. That's what I meant to say. But it seems now that if you are a genuine threat of some kind, they'll just outright murder you. So what happened, ladies and gentlemen? This was 4 at the time of writing, but apparently now it's up to 6, and it may be even higher. Another AfD candidate has died ahead of the North Rhine-Westphalia or Westphalia region. The 4th such case in recent months. Ralph Lange, I'm not sure how to say it, Ralph Lange's sudden death in Blomberg has fueled speculation after economist Stefan Homburg called coincidences, quote, statistically almost impossible, a view amplified by Elon Musk. So what happened is that 66-year-old Ralph Lange died on the 28th of August. His death automatically rendered invalid polling cards and postal ballot documents already sent out, putting pressure on the city administration to reprint and resend them in time. Following a decision made by the City Council, the election in Blomberg will proceed as by-election on the planned date of September 14th. But this is not the only case tied to specifically the North Rhine-Westphalia elections. Somebody else by the name of Stefan Berendes, or Stefan Berend, however you say it, the AfD's candidate for the City Council in Bad Lippspringe, also died unexpectedly, triggering the same administrative procedures as in Blomberg. In both cases, AfD must now decide whether to nominate successors to the deceased candidates. You also have AfD candidates Schroeter and Reinberg passed away just days before the scheduled elections, all of it far too coincidental. Ladies and gentlemen, basically all of it seems to be far too coincidental. And we know that our political leaders are not above this kind of stuff, right? There's accusations of what happened to David Kelly, I believe it was, who was very critical and one of the people speaking out against Alistair Campbell's campaign. Obviously war hawking in the Middle East with Tony Blair, and then he mysteriously turned up and they said it was a suicide, I believe. So again, it's all very, very coincidental that, again, the AfD, which seems to be the one political alternative that the German people do have that will seemingly at least do the bare minimum, right, to save their country from the destruction wreaked on it, by Angela Merkel opening the sluice gates to the rest of the world and turning Germany into an absolute hellhole. I wonder why, again, we're seeing all across the Western world at the moment, especially all across Europe, the exact kind of degeneracy and corruption and everything that was in Weimar Germany that then led to the inevitability of somebody like Adolf Hitler coming to power, right? You're now seeing, and when you look at the degeneracy nowadays in Britain especially, and you look at the Weimar Republic, back in the 20s and 30s, you completely understand when people get so sick and tired, why then they go all the way and they elect somebody like Hitler, who was obviously very charismatic and very good at whipping up the crowds, and whether he was, again, some people argue he was speaking truth and support every single thing he says. Others then say that obviously he's a liar and a gangster, and other people fall somewhere in between. You know, obviously nobody's going to dispute what a lot of the things that he did were completely evil, right? But obviously a lot of the narrative has changed on a lot of historical figures nowadays, and I think it's important to have that discussion, right? Because reflection's not a bad thing. Reflection's not a bad thing, and changing your opinion on things is not a bad thing. It just matters whether the evidence supports that change in opinion, right? But you look at Britain nowadays, you look at Europe nowadays, you see it's been taken over. You'd think that, again, a lot of the sentiment, even back in the 50s, 60s, and earlier and 70s, and around that time, with the veterans were saying, like, look, this is not the country I fought for. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of this. What the hell did I go over and fight for? A lot of people were expressing that sentiment. Not everybody, but a lot of people even back then were expressing that sentiment. And you've only seen more and more denigration. You only see more and more colonization at the hands of foreign powers and foreign people. It's very easy to see. And obviously, the state have fueled all kinds of degeneracy and pumped taxpayer money and imprisoned people that want to have any kind of conservative or nationalist principle. You wonder why people get so radicalized that they end up flocking to somebody that's going to go to the extreme ends, because they think that's what the solution to the problem is. Especially when they see that their political candidates, their political alternatives that they can supposedly vote for in a democracy, right, are just being seemingly taken off the ballot. Right, being seemingly taken off the board by less than natural means, should we say? And it's disgusting. So I hope that it turns out that it isn't. But again, no cause of death listed. Just again, died suddenly. Again, another thing we see that often referenced now is in reference to the vaccine complications, where again you have this uptick, especially in young people who are otherwise completely healthy, dying suddenly. Right, I'm very thankful that I haven't been one of them. Very, very thankful that I haven't been one of them. But again, there's many people out there that are not so lucky. They're not so lucky. If you enjoyed that clip, then make sure to go on over to the Voice of the Valleys X page at VOT_Valleys on X. We're also on Instagram at Voice of the Valleys. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon. Godspeed.